Well, you join me today as I'm about to take my government mandated exercise, and on the run I'm doing today, I'm hoping that we can find some sheep. So let's go and have a look. Well, we haven't found any sheep yet, but look how full the brook is after last night's rain. Still, let's go find those sheep. Well, still no sheep, but I couldn't pass up this opportunity of sharing this with you. Can you see in the background there all those beautiful bluebells here in Guttridge Wood on the Hillingdon Trail? Just amazing. All safely there behind a protective fence. That is just beautiful. Well, here I am in the wilds of the London Borough of Hillingdon, and there behind me, just here, is a sheep in a field. I hope you can hear me above the deafening roar of the A40, which is just there above me. So these sheep are not lost, they're not wandered astray, they're in a field and they've been looked after by a shepherd. So they're safely gathered here beside the Yedding Brook. They're well fed, they're well looked after by a good shepherd. I, on the other hand, am cold and wet and far from home, and if I get back inside my allotted hour allowed for exercise, I better get my skates on. See you later. I've worked with sheep and I've learned at least two things. Firstly, it isn't a compliment to be called a sheep. They're self-centered, stubborn, and frankly not very bright. In Psalm 100 it says, "We are the sheep of the Lord's pasture and the flock under his care." And in Isaiah 53:6, "All of us like sheep have gone astray. Each has turned to his own way." Sheep get lost, and there are reasons for that. They get afraid and skittish and they run away. Sometimes they get chased by other animals. Sometimes they go looking for what they need, but in the wrong place. Step by step, little by little, with their nose to the ground, they wander away from the rest of the flock. And sheep are famous, of course, for following each other, and sometimes they follow the wrong sheep. I wonder, does that feel familiar? Have you been chased away from God? Have you gone looking for what you need in the wrong place? Perhaps sometimes we just keep our head down, trying to get on with life, and suddenly we realize that we're all alone. Where did everyone go? Perhaps sometimes we follow the wrong person. In his first letter, Peter writes, "You were going astray like sheep, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls." Jesus says, "I am the good shepherd." And in so doing, he's borrowing imagery from the Hebrew scriptures, from Psalm 23, Psalm 100. The Old Testament refers to God as the shepherd of Israel. And what Jesus is saying is that he is good in the sense of being skilled and competent. I mean, if you're a sheep, it's important that you have a shepherd who's kind and caring, but also one who knows his job. And that's the second thing I learned working with sheep, is that being a shepherd takes a lot of skill, knowledge, patience, and hard work. It involves a lot of sacrifice with lambing and dipping and shearing and just watching the sheep. It's a big commitment. And unlike the hired hand, the shepherd is truly committed to the sheep. Jesus says that he knows his sheep. Jesus knows each one of us. When we're missing, he comes looking for us. He cares for us so much that he lays down his life for us. Twice in this chapter 10 of John's Gospel, Jesus says that of himself. He lays down his life for the sheep. And Jesus calls us by name. We hear his voice not with our ears, but in our hearts. And we can learn to recognize Jesus' voice and then to know where he is leading us. And he leads us to green pastures, to abundant life. Jesus wants us to have life and have it to the full, to have the life that is truly life. And so he brings us to one flock with one shepherd, where we can love one another. Because human beings thrive in community with other sheep, other people. Acts 2 describes that early Christian community gathered together, united, fed, healed, and nurtured by the Good Shepherd. If you're just joining us online, you are very welcome to connect with us in whatever way is appropriate to you. Send us a comment or an email if you'd like a phone call or a Zoom meeting. So my address is vicar@stedmundschurch.com. You'll find that in the comments below or on our website, stedmundschurch.com. Jesus knows us, loves us, and cares for us. He calls us and leads us to an abundant life so that we can be known by him, where we can be loved by him, where we can hear his voice and follow where he leads. So I'm looking forward to when we can all be together again in person. In the meantime, let's try and stay connected with the rest of the flock and listen closely to the voice of Jesus. God bless you richly with his love. Amen.